Okay, so we were investigating this idea that the 852 field, and I don't even remember what the problem was, so someone will have to refresh my memory, but we were trying to find records that did not have the 852 subfield I, and then we wanted to be able to like run a normalization process against those, and we hadn't quite figured it out. So I actually found this in the catalog, and obviously it's not 852I, it's B, and it's based on physical items. And what I'm thinking is that if we actually did a double analytics where we do a physical item, we run a report, we get the items that don't have the 852I, we can then run a titles analytics based on the results of this analytics report. As long as there's a match point, that will give us a title set to run a normalization process on in the managed jobs thing.
But will that do anything to the holdings records?
That's the other part that, like, I don't know if there's, because and everything's taking forever to load today. Because when we look at the norm rules, got to let all of the community ones run. And then we're looking for 352. Wait. Did it actually find something? What is that 352 again?
The 352 is in the bib record, and it has something to do with the format,
right,
of things.
Okay.
I can look it up. Give me a sec.
So these norm rules they seem to add holdings fields.
Okay, so somebody's using norm rules to make changes to holdings records.
And here's one that's like a specific, like, remove a subfield of 852. Here's a copy fields and replace fields, which, so like, yeah, so I think we just need to like potentially find but we have to see if we can get that title set first. So like, I'm pretty sure that this one, yeah, I was like, it's been very, yeah, that's been super edited. And what's this one? Okay, so digital graphic representation is the 352. So holding details, it's the 852.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible to do an Alma Analytics search to identify the 852 fields that don't have a subfield I. So there's that, but on the other hand, like part of what we're trying to do here is figure out how do we know we can do it in Alma Analytics, but how do we do it with indication and norm rules?
And I'm not
Yeah.
sure that the indication rules will work that way. Like we can create a normalization process with a norm rule once we have the set of titles, but we have to get the set of titles from a double analytics.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're finding norm rules that can run on holdings records, but not indication rules. Or did I completely misunderstand that?
So holdings, indication rules don't work on anything but title sets, and title sets won't show holdings. Like it won't filter on holdings.
Aha.
So if we can do this holdings details and get the titles, then we can create a set. We won't be able to get an indication rule to filter the set. So we can't do like a full title set filter on this indication rule to show us what's in the 852i. We will have to say create a title set based on this analytics report.
Aha.
Yes. And you've got 352 and I've got 852 in the notes. Which is right.
Yeah, sorry, I thought you were asking about the 352 earlier.
I think I may have said 352.
Ah.
Because we did so much work in the three hundos. Okay, so if we do, I don't know if we'll get anything. I'm curious. Okay, so this report gives us an MMS ID. It gives us the full A52 and whether or not there is an I in it then can be filtered. Whatever the 852B thing is not what we need. I don't like this was just somebody else's. I just searched it. So then I think if we filter to contains and it's
or does not contain.
Oh yeah, does not contain. And it's the, what is it? It's money I
think so, yeah.
Okay.
We'll find out if it's not.
Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, okay. So those ones like we just saw, they're still coming up. But now what? So this is our set of MMS IDs of items that don't have that I field, but we don't want to run it for everything. We wanted to limit it to location or material type. Like, what were we thinking?
Um,
Because location was another one that we couldn't get to match up with the indication rule, but I think we can.
but yeah, but we didn't know when we were doing it that we couldn't run indication rules on the holdings records. So yeah, so in a real world scenario, this is something that like we couldn't just do a list of here's everything that doesn't have a subfield I, add the subfield I at one particular point because all the call numbers are different. And it might be something where like you'd have to really break it down to call numbers that start with specific letters, or like realistically in a lot of these cases anything that is old enough to not have that subfield is probably old enough that it should be weeded.
So I guess the other thing we could do if you were trying to go through this process and determine whether it was worth updating something,
Yeah.
we might also want some bibliographic details about like publishing.
Probably, yeah. I think in Melinda, your question about what are we trying to update in the subfield I, it's kind of a piddly little thing, but
It was
it
something like
affects
the Voyager
call number sorting. Yeah, so it's something that's a hangover from Voyager, and it affects the call number sort when you're doing inventory with Alma and when you're trying to do call number sorts in Alma Analytics. So for Library of Congress call numbers specifically, anything that relates to the subject is supposed to be in the subfield H of the 852. Anything that relates to one specific book or video or whatever, like one specific item, is supposed to be in the subfield I. So like the part of the call number that tells you this is the history of Washington State is supposed to go in subfield H. And the part that of the call number that tells you it was written by this author and published in 19 whatever, that's supposed to go in subfield I. And
yeah, so you could basically use this to run a report of like books that need to be weeded. I think is kind of what you're.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm just looking at the mapping of the call numbers and in the out of box normal mapping tables, and it's talking about like for the first indicator of places the HI subfields in context of the bibliographic records in 082 A and B subfields respectively. I'm just curious in terms of the mapping. Are you trying to pull your information from a specific field to update?
I don't remember who brought this one up.
I think it was George and me. And
so
the case
sure
use would be the case use might be. Oh, sorry.
Okay. So perhaps there's a existing job.
No, no, this has to do with when you import records into Alma from someplace else. How do you want to automatically create a call number in the holdings record based on what's coming in from the bib record? So,
But I guess what I'm saying is I'm wondering if through this, we may be able to run a manual job on, as you say, a defined set, but basically wherein I is empty. You can run a job that already exists, is I guess if we know where they're going to pull the call number or where you're pulling the information from and where it's mapped from. I'm wondering if there's a way that's already in existence, is I guess what I was curious about. But again, I'm very late to this conversation. We've already had this conversation and just disregard and ignore me.
Well, my understanding was this is an issue of when the I subfield is missing and there's no way to pull it to the call number. And so then the call number got like smushed together because the info was like all in a different subfield, right?
yeah, so this call number mapping, that might be useful in a situation where you want to update the call number that's in the holdings record based on what's in the bib record. But I think, I don't know if you could do a job for that. Also, if you do it based on whatever you have set up as the call number mapping, that's going to overwrite whatever is in your holdings record. And so you might end up, if you're not careful, you would end up with one call number in the holdings record that might not match what is printed on the call number label.
Yes, definitely. I could see that being a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, honestly, the more we talk about this, the more I think,
is it necessary?
like, it's not really necessary, and it's a lot of time for not a lot of value. But I know
we were
in the
thinking
pandemic, earlier in the pandemic, we were trying to just like find anything for people to do online. And that was at Seattle, that was when we started looking into that. But right now it might not be a project that's got a lot of bang for the buck, other than just the basic figuring out how to
like take
how to use norm rules with holdings.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where we were like, well, this is an example of having a set of holdings but wanting to run a normalization process. How can we do it?
Yeah, and I remember at Skagit, they're using Dewey, and they have some call numbers where part of the call number is a Dewey number and part of the call number is an author's last name, and maybe they want to split that out so that the last name is in a different subfield. Your holdings are a hot mess, or your call numbers are a hot mess, Melinda? Both.
I love that it is down to we nerds, because everyone else is like, nope. Okay, well, here's another one that maybe if we're like, you know what, this is not a useful use of our time. I have one that might actually be a useful use of our time. So when you use, I'm gonna do this. Boop. I'm totally happy to walk away from this. It's kind of melting my brain. So when you use cloud apps, like SpineOMatic, it works with like SpineOMatic uses XML to create the labels of things. And in Grays Harbor, and this is going to end up being an issue with anyone who goes to use SpineOMatic. And I know that Karen, like you had asked about this like before summer, because I have it like on my little like sheet of, mentioned. But so check this out. And catalogers can, maybe this conversation leads to that conversation. So we've got these sample barcodes, and I go to do a book spine sticker for them. And if we look at the preview, because it's pulling from, and of course it's like my weird, but because it's pulling from the XML and not a mark field, the punctuation around the publication date is getting pulled in. Everything else is right, and I can't like figure out, so if you look, you can only add so many fields.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if there's a way that we could basically run some kind of normalization process to pull the messy punctuation into a different field, because they have like all these other fields that you can choose. But like, what if we could pull the date of publication in?
What field were you guys coming in from?
What
field were you looking at to pull it from?
So it
I'm sorry, I came in, I looked like I was here, but I was kind of triple dipping.
that's totally fine. No, so it pulls from the XML.
Field C.
It doesn't pull from the mark.
It does not pull from the mark. That's a problem.
Yeah.
But the XML is built on the, like it's constructed based on.
Yeah. And so
mark.
I did pull a sample XML. It was days ago. Let me see if I can find it. Of a book to try and figure out like what the heck it was pulling.
Yeah, and you don't want to run any norm rules to change the punctuation on the bib records, because that punctuation has meaning for catalogers. Like when the brackets around the 2019 or whatever, that has a meaning that we suspect this is the publication date, but it might not actually be.
Yeah, so
or you might end up with books that are like brackets 200 dash close brackets, which means we think it was published sometime in the first decade of 2000, but we don't know for sure.
Well, and this date of publication, because I can't even add, because I've tried to go into the source code and like add JavaScript to drop any non-numerical characters in display. And SpineOMatic, whether it's the cloud app or the PC version, it won't let you do that. Like the amount of code that they allow in this is very minimal. This is the thing. So like,
can you open this in Notepad++?
Sure. Go. Open with. I have normal Notepad. I don't know if that's a difference.
It is slightly different. Notepad plus plus might make it slightly easier to read, but you would have to download Notepad plus plus. We don't have time.
And I'm not allowed to do a lot of that stuff. We may be talking to you, Kirsty, by the way, about
Okay. Yeah, you need to have Notepad plus plus. It's an open source code.
No, they sent me the new computer and they didn't even order the laptop that I asked them to order. And the laptop I asked them to order was very small and light and also had a universal USB-C charging plug, because those are travel considerations and why I would want a laptop.
I would be furious.
And they sent me a 4-pound monstrosity that is larger than the one I have. And
no, send it back.
Yep, and I'm not an admin on the tower that they sent, so I can't even begin setting it up. Okay, so anyway, so yeah, so this is what the XML looks like, and I was trying to figure out like where, because I was like, well, if I can figure out what XML field has the date, if I could somehow
it's going to be in two places. It's going to be in a control field.
Okay.
And it's going to be in a 260 or possibly 264 field.
Okay, that's the only presence of 2.6.
Search for data field tag equals quotes 2.6.
Okay, data field tag.
Yeah, space tag.
Okay, here's 260. No content.
Okay. No.
Oh,
go. Okay. So if you read down a little bit, there's a subfield code C that's got 1977 in it. So that's one of the places that you could be getting the publication date.
and then where was the next? This one. Has a 1944.
Yeah. Go back into the SpineOMatic field.
Let me
what
let me just
oh yeah.
Let me make sure that, because I don't think the note to self, I'm not sure that the book I pulled the XML for is one of the ones that I have in.
Oh, okay.
Let me see. Okay, so the two titles are Crime Against the Yakimas and the Barack Obama. Is this Crime Against the Yakimas? Is this the title? Hold on.
No, that was,
Okay.
it was kind
Because
of
I think I was
either
I
a
was trying to
contract
pull the crime against, and then I didn't. I pulled this one. Okay. Hold on. So if I get this barcode, I can add it. Crap, what's the barcode? Where's the Oh, it's a good thing I wasn't a cataloger. Is the barcode going to be in here?
No, the barcode won't be
In this. Where? Holdings?
No, the barcode's going to be in the item.
Okay, let's add this barcode to my SpineOMatic. Oh, and it automatically, because that's where I was in. Okay, so if we do the spine sticker, now we can see what it's pulling for this particular XML. So it's pulling at 1977. So it is pulling not that one, because that doesn't have the right punctuation. What? There we go. So it's pulling this one.
Okay, so it is defining
Date of publication.
so it's defining the 260 subfield.
Yes, that is. Went too far. Ah. Yeah. So it is taking 260 subfield C for the bib record date of publication. Write this down. And of course, Cara Beth was like, hey, can we get it to pull from the 008? Oh, Kersey just and but we can't pull from an 008 because that's not one of the predetermined fields in SpineOMatic. So Melinda, if you're still, what are some characters that would show up in a date of publication?
Ours mostly are gonna be the brackets, so you have those. Oh, no, I can't, yeah, we have those. Those are the ones that we have the most often. Trying to think, period. But most of the time, if I have extra stuff, it's the brackets. Also, copyright. Copyright
Oh
symbol.
yeah, the C.
The C will show up.
I wonder if I can even, I don't know what the shortcut is for that one, but I want to try something in my little test here. If we add, because their call number, the problem is because Grace Harbor is Dewey and their call number mapping
We're also doing.
Yeah, because Dewey numbers don't typically have publication dates in them.
so it's not been part of the call number.
Why did they want to make it part of the call number?
So they've always had it. And we're like, but they've been making their labels by hand.
Yeah.
Basically. No, that was the
So was Seattle when I got here.
Yeah, and so like, yeah, they're trying to go, oh, okay, so yeah, so taking the
I would honestly ask on the list.
The full Alma.
We have a Dewey library who
trying to
has
add
to put publication dates in their call numbers, but without the ending, without any of the punctuation that appears in the publication date fields.
And honestly, my thought was, who cares? Because there's still going to be significantly more accuracy and speed with this. And if the dates at the bottom of the spine sticker are wrong, like, yeah, because
the other thing too is like pulling that date from the publication field is gonna cause problems when you run into things like a multi-volume set that's published over multiple years.
Yeah, and
it may not happen a lot, but
and this is like their main sticker that goes on the back, so it's not like the year is on this. It's
sorry, I can't really see the sticker. It's not big enough.
Oh yeah. Well. Oh, okay, fine, 200. So yeah, their big sticker with the barcode number, because they don't even use, yeah, doesn't have the date in it. It's just the spine sticker. And my thought was like, why? No, I don't want that one. I want there. Like, who cares about this period? Like, it's still legible. I don't think anyone's going to be overly confused.
I can tell you right now,
We will have like care.
Say that again.
We will have people who care.
Yeah,
It would be,
Yeah.
it would be a big deal to some people here, that's all I can say.
In the library or patrons?
The
Library,
library.
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm
Really?
trying to figure this out
Carly,
just because, yeah,
Can you go back to the page that, like that configuration page where you tell SpineOMatic what to put in? Because if it will let you add, there's another date field that's at the top of the mark record, which may show up in the XML. And that date field has no punctuation in it. And
yeah, and that's
something
what I
wanted
was
to
like,
fix.
if I could somehow do like
So
a
you can, if you
custom, like type in the field, if I could figure it out.
click on the add field. Let's see what the different fields are.
So we've got barcode, parsed call number, parsed alternative, issue level description, edition, imprint, language, label prefix, raw barcode, raw call number, the different parsed call number parts,
So keep
bib data,
going down.
holding data, item data, the chronology notes, the enumeration notes, fulfillment notes, inventory, location.
I wish there were more bib data fields.
Yeah. Well, and my thought, what if so they're a Dewey library, but there's this like other like temp call number, like could they, God, no, that's annoying. I was like, could they create temporary call numbers in LC where we then like use just the date value of that one parsed part, you know? But no, because you can't do call number parts and the temp call number. And I think I tried year of issue.
Yeah.
And
if that information is not being put into a field in the item record,
right,
which it won't be for monographs, then no. Yeah, I really think this is a question for the Alma list.
Yeah, because like here's a date. And that one's from the 776. And it's like, what do they call this in this?
Yeah, and I'm wondering about what all of that parsed call number stuff. What is that exactly?
So
that parsed call number somehow?
I did every single one of them to see what they equaled. And and the one I tested didn't even have like past 4 parts.
I mean, can you even
Yeah, so it's not even pulling anything because they're Dewey. And there aren't multiple parts to their call number,
okay.
as near as I could figure out when I tried to do it. But anyway, well, interesting thinking on things.
Dewey call numbers aren't built to have publication dates in them. And
Just
so there's no way that you can add them to the code in the bib record that could then be mapped into the call number field in the holdings record.
Yeah. And that makes total sense. And yeah, and this is why I was surprised to learn how many of our colleges are using Dewey.
This has come up so many times, I can't even tell you, like, why don't we just switch to LC? I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, okay, I'd love to on one level, on a project and man hours level, it's like, this is not worth it. No.
Yeah.
I know. You could do what University of, I think it was University of Washington did, where when they converted however many decades ago, anything that they'd cataloged before they switched to LC stayed in Dewey.
Oh my good
They just
Lord.
like they had this whole section in, I think, Suzzalo of this is the Dewey section.
Wow.
That's weird.
I can't even, like, that makes my brain hurt as to the impacts of, like, okay, yeah, that makes my brain hurt.
Yeah.
You know, it would be fine. Like, I think I could see it happening if they did not get rid of it. Our previous catalogers and stuff got rid of all of the, so it's not the 852, but the, what is it?
The 050 and the 090 with the library trunks.
Yeah, the LC, like I could at least be able to pull that information, but those are all gone in all of
You
our
could
records.
get those back if you import new versions of the OCLC records.
Right, but like, okay, I'm gonna do that for 25,000 bucks. Or if I do the, you know, the other library too, you know, like 60,000 bucks. Like, no, I think not.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things.
You know,
But
speaking of the call number thing, it's like I would really love to be able to convert. Like, I seem to be able to get the number for, I get it as as text, but within analytics to be able to convert. I've been trying a couple different ways, but not in a while, to convert text to number so that I could get, let's say, an average age of collection or of a sub collection or what have you, you know, where you're looking at age of collection. It would be really nice to have that calculation available that I could do on, you know, let's say I have a collection of culinary books that I could easily run that reporting on without having to do a secondary number change in Excel after the fact.
yeah, I think
Might be a way
Wade
to
was
do
working
that.
on something like that and it wasn't working great.
I think it's possible, and I know he did an age of collection like report that he put together, but it's not searchable. It's not, you know, detailed in such a way, like it's more kind of cumulative. So I know that there's probably a way to do it, but I haven't had, like, this quarter's been just completely insane. And I like, even my attendance here has been spotty. It's just like
It's
trying
so
to get it's nuts. But I'm hoping that winter rolls around and things will kind of calm down a little bit, is my hope. And maybe I can dive into some analytics stuff, because that's next on my list, is to start really trying to work some analytics reporting for internal use. So
well, and it looks like I went in, and because that was because age of collection was something that people were interested in, I may have pulled some that were at other institutions and not Wade's ones to compare how they worked. So yeah, I'd be down to do some more analytics. We're supposed to have an analytics meeting soon-ish.
yeah, I'm gonna have to actually put on my agenda, like on my list of which ones I absolutely have to attend that are really, really pertinent to me. And I appreciate that you actually did that, because it's really helpful, especially now with 3 meetings a week. I just need to go through and actually say, okay, these are the ones that are really, really important, because things like analytics and cataloging and normals and that kind of stuff, they're pertinent to my job. And I've got I did have a question. Onboarding. We're onboarding some new people, and I didn't know if we had access to any kind of a sandbox.
Yes. I can give you, like, do you want a generic like Circ staff account?
But we already
She's
have that.
for sandbox, not in Alma itself. So trying to find a sandbox where we can have people who are trying to get their Alma certifications working. And she right now they're cert, but I don't know what all their duties will entail. Karen, you could probably speak to that in terms of Kelsey and or Ezra. And we're looking at ILLs, we're looking at they need to have analytics, they need to have trying to think of what else they might need to have, Karen.
Oh,
Yeah, I can
um,
I'm waiting on the next refresh, and the next refresh will be yours. Will be the one, it's the big one, so it's like the one that you and Seattle and Pierce are all assigned to. And as soon as they do that, because right now the sandbox doesn't even look like our production environment, because it's so like,
Gotcha.
out of date.
Got it.
But yeah,
Just
I submitted that request last week. Let me see if they've sent me any kind of update on it. They hadn't this morning. They wanted, like, I'm like, hey, why don't you stop asking me stupid questions? Because it's like,
it's no
are
major
you
rush.
part
It's
of
just
a consortia, or do you have a network zone? You can see that I don't have a network zone pretty easily. So yeah, so Everett, yeah, where'd they come on. They like registered my request, but after asking those questions, I don't think they've said anything again. Let's see. It says in progress. And she changed it to in progress yesterday morning. So, if I look back at the last refresh, oh, I didn't put it in as a case. Our support person helped me with it. Hmm.
No major rush. It was just one of those things that I remembered while I was on here. It's like, oh, I meant to ask about that.
Yeah, I think it only took about 10 days last time from when Lindsay got converting publication.
Thanks, Kirsty. That's awesome.
Hooray for OneNote,
Yeah.
where I save things.
Yeah, so I think it was about 10 days from when I submitted the refresh request and it actually got to cloud services that it was done and I was like given the new admin login. So in the next 2 weeks, we should have the Everett sandbox instant refreshed, and then I can get all of your guys's accounts set up in there.
Cool.
And it will come with like generic ones that I can send you for training, that it would be like, don't change the password. And then I will set like you up with a named account. And you can create temporary ones as needed, or be able to monitor what other people are doing, etc.
Cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So, but yeah, okay, well, it's 2:01. The norm rules and the cataloging meetings are like kind of the hardest for me to follow because it's not my strength, but I do so appreciate when you guys show up and teach me things, and we can talk through things, because then I learn a little bit more and then I can like make a thing work a little bit better, hopefully.
Yeah, sometimes it's like you don't know we have a problem until we have a problem, and then we bring it up and we fix it. It's like,
Yeah. Well, and I do, with the schedule on the meetings, I want to do a better job of promoing, like if we have like a specific topic on a topic coming up, so that you can be like, okay, this is going to be important, or nope, free to skip.
I just need to color code them like you do in your thing, saying, oh, okay, these are the ones I really need to go into. It's like, okay, I need to do this.
I love my color coding.
Yeah, I do the same thing for my regular calendar too. So.
Yeah. So,
but nothing else. I just need to take off the ones that I know don't apply to me. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure we have meetings next week. Yep.
Yep.
But next week's gonna be crazy because I have to fly to Renton for 1 day. So, I mean, I don't have to, but I decided it would be a good idea to go to Renton for the LLC meeting.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to see Greg again. He said you guys had a nice time at the WLA.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good time. And then what was really funny was I ran into a former colleague from Whitworth who I had written the OER paper with. And I was like, oh, I just ran into the librarian that I cited in our paper.
That's funny.
Like, he just moved to Spokane, to our neighborhood. In fact, because Bob lives up here on like 8th.
Oh, funny.
And Greg's on 29th. And so I'm like,
I'm on 19th.
Yeah, we're all
We're
right.
all kind of all right over there.
So
Funny.
anywho,
Cool.
okay. Well, you guys all take care and
Wait, Carly, could you stick on for just 1 minute? I just want to check in with you about something with the LLC meeting. We're not still recording, are we?
I'm
Nope.
gonna stop right now.
Okay, see you guys.